Welcome back to the Denver Radio Real Estate Show. I'm Cheryl Garlock with Colorado Front Range Properties. So glad you could join us today. My very special guest today is Janelle Karras and Tanya Brown with AJ Karras Auctioneers. Now, I got to ask you guys, when you're thinking about auctioneering, I don't know about you, but I typically think of, I think of something from, oh gosh, one of these old TV shows or something that I saw when I was a kid. I can't tell you about that. Did I tell you how old I am? But anyway, okay, I think about somebody doing some sort of big farm auctioneering thing. But did you know I do auctions with real estate all the time? A really productive method. Now, what do you guys think of when you think of an auction where real estate is concerned? I'm going to wager that most everybody thinks of that as being an auction for a property that's distressed, can't sell it any other way, must be something wrong with it. Well, okay, that is one type of auction, but Janelle is going to tell us how else the other type of auction for real estate might be valid. Isn't that right, Janelle?
That's right, Cheryl.
So tell us a little bit about, you know, we have this one concept about what an auction is, as I sort of described here, but that's really not the only way that auctions are used for real estate.
Yeah, when I got introduced to the real estate auction concept was about 12 years ago. Mm-hmm. And like you, I really hadn't had any experience in auctions, real estate or otherwise. And the only thing that came to mind for me was, you hear about the courthouse steps. But as I got involved into the auction industry and learned there's just so many advantages to it. And there's, companies that have been in business, in the real estate auction business for over 100 years.
You were mentioning that to me. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
It really is not a new thing. And really, I think it's about education, right? So I think that is a misconception that a lot of people have. For whatever reason, auction has that connotation that something's distressed. But that's really not so, because when you think about the high-end art, how does that get sold?
Oh, you're right. That Sotheby's,
Sotheby's, and all that, right? So they're selling that high-end art that's going for millions of dollars, and the only way they sell that art is through an auction. So auction is a highly effective method in which to sell real estate, and for most of us, our property is our Picasso. Right?
Yes, there you go. That's a good way of putting it. Our property is our Picasso. So let me ask you this, Janelle, because I know you work with a lot of different sellers who say couldn't otherwise sell their home. We were just talking about a property that we mentioned here that might be a possible candidate for an auction sale, especially if it's been on the market for a long time and it needs maybe a whole different kind of marketing game plan. When one marketing method doesn't work, you kind of look to another one. I would think so anyway. So, but aren't a lot of sellers worried about the price that they're going to receive at an auction? How does that work?
Well, I think sellers are worried about what price they're going to get, whether they auction it or otherwise. But I do feel that that's probably one of those, again, misconceptions about auctions. Mm-hmm. When we go in to talk to people, sometimes they feel like, oh, I'm going to get pennies on the dollar. And that's just not so. Auction it's a method of marketing. It's a way in which we can get the whole buying market looking at that property at one time, having those ready, willing, but most importantly, able buyers competing against each other to purchase that home. So I think when buyers come into auctions, they're hoping and wanting to get the deal, but because of the competition factor on it, we're going to keep all of our, keep each other honest. If I'm bidding on $1 million property and Cheryl, you have the bid at $500,000, rest assured, I'm going to bid again. And that's going to continue happening until the buyers in the room feel that we've reached market value.
And do you think that some people ought to look at the auction method going into, say, putting their home on the market here, maybe ditching sort of the conventional method once in a while? I mean, this is not a method for every property, but it certainly is a method that's viable for a lot of properties that they just haven't explored.
I think it's important for sellers to know that there's another way in which to sell their home, and when they go to sell their home, that they should look at all options. And I truly believe that auction shouldn't be a last resort, but a first choice. because of the fact that we can get in, we can market that property, have it sold and closed in about 60 days, where especially with the higher end or the more unique properties that will sit for 2, 3, 4 years.
Oh yeah.
So we're going to save them a lot of money in holding cost and all that through that period.
Plus,
of
they
time.
get to pick their day and their time of their closing, pretty much.
That's my favorite part of it. Yeah.
Well, and there's a lot of due diligence that you help prepare the property for to hand out to the buyer so that they really are well informed when they go in to buy that property.
Absolutely.
So, Janelle, give us a quick phone number where people can call you if they have questions.
877-612-8494.
Wow, well, so that's great. So you know what, you guys, give me a call at 720-373-0654 if you'd like to know more about auctions and real estate in general. Both Janelle and I would like to help you. So we're going to catch you next week. And again, go visit denverrealty.com and use your mouse to find a house. 720-373-0654.